You know, it's like rain on your wedding day. Except it isn't. Over the years, tons of people have made fun of the Alanis Morissette song Ironic, and I'm going to try really hard not to. I mean, it's a song about irony that was clearly written by someone who doesn't know or care what irony is, because it gets it wrong way more often than it gets it right. And isn't that ironic? No, not really, because you don't expect a pop song to be accurate or intelligent. Let me explain. One definition says, irony is an expression of meaning by use of words normally conveying opposite meaning, apparent perversity of fate or circumstance. So in simple terms, it's a situation where things work out backwards, the opposite of what common sense and reasonable expectation would dictate. And yet somehow, it's appropriate. That's how I define it. Rain on your wedding day isn't ironic, it just sucks. Unless you like rain. Now, if you had your wedding indoors to keep from getting wet on your wedding day and a pipe in the ceiling burst, well then that's ironic, because you planned it indoors specifically to stay dry and that's what you would have expected to happen, but it didn't. So what is irony and how do you spot it? Well, there are three main kinds of irony: situational, dramatic, and verbal, and each one is very different. Situational irony is the one I just explained. It's when what happens is the opposite of what you'd expect or what's appropriate. Like, say, a no smoking sign on your cigarette break. Except that's not ironic. But a no smoking sign on your cigarette break in the employee lounge of the Philip Morris Tobacco Company is situationally ironic, because that's the last place you'd expect to have that problem. In dramatic irony, there has to be an audience, and the audience knows something that the characters don't. Like how you start watching the movie Titanic, and you know that boat's going down. Even though nobody else does. Or like in a murder mystery TV show where you see who the bad guy is in the beginning, but no one else knows. Yet. But be careful, dramatic irony is not the same thing as foreshadowing, which is the hint of a possible future event in the story. Dramatic irony is when the audience knows something that one or more of the characters doesn't. The third is verbal irony, which is when a writer or speaker expresses the opposite of what they really mean to say. People will often say a verbally ironic statement was sarcasm, when in fact it was hyperbole, litotes, double entendre, or something else miscategorized as sarcasm. Like if Camera Guy says, "It's hot in here," and I say, "Really? You think?" It's verbally ironic and shares some similarities with sarcasm, but technically it's a rhetorical question. There are other debatable kinds of irony too, like cosmic, comedic, historical, and such, but some people would debate that they're actually true cases of irony. People will debate almost anything. Really? You think? Huh, irony. So that's it. That's irony. And if there were a song about irony with absolutely no irony in it at all, well then yeah, the entire song would be ironic. Which is what Ms. Morissette later claimed was her intention all along. Nice try, Little Pill, but there are those nagging cases of real irony in your non-ironic song. I just don't buy it. And I didn't buy it. We just thought it's what you ought to know. And we can't have pop culture educating you. That's like watching the news to get informed. You'll just end up all messed up.